In the far reaches of the galaxy, on the formidable starship Sentinel's reach, the air buzzed with the low hum of anticipation and machinery. The ship, a leviathan of steel and secrets, served as the spearhead of the Galactic Coalition's push into contested space. It was here that former comrades, now seasoned warriors, Damon, Varrick and Talon Khase reconnected under the stark, white lights of the hangar bay. Damon stepped off the transport shuttle, his eyes squinting against the harsh lights, scanning the vast interior of the Sentinel's reach. Flanked by two stoic Marines in gleaming armor, he made his way down the ramp. His heart raced, not from the mission briefing that still rang in his ears, but from the anticipation of meeting Talon, his old ally from days long past. Across the hangar, another shuttle touched down gracefully. Its doors hissed open, and out stepped Talon, his posture unyielding, the emblem of the Galactic Special Forces emblazoned across his chest. His entrance was not alone, he was accompanied by a formidable entourage, led by a dark-clad figure from the Intelligence Directorate, signaling the importance of his mission. Damon. Talon's voice, rich with the resonance of old camaraderie, cut through the ambient noise. Protocol be damned, he strode across the gap with open arms. Their reunion was a clash of titans, each man's cybernetic enhancements humming as they embraced, a bare hug that could crush steel. Assigned to the reach? Talon asked, a grin spreading across his face. Seems old General Artek has his eyes on us, Damon chuckled, the sound echoing slightly under the high ceilings. But it's good to see you in one piece. Their laughter faded as they stepped back, assessing each other. Both had changed, the war had carved its tails into their faces and limbs, replacing some with the cold touch of technology. I heard you were with the Standards now, Talon noted, his tone a mix of curiosity and respect. Training the new bloods without a vanguard. That's right, Damon replied with a smirk. Leading the little ones through their paces. And you? Still the hero of the Special Forces, I presume. Something like that, Talon said, his gaze drifting momentarily as he considered his next words. The war's end is in sight, Damon. But there's much I've yet to ponder for after. The mention of an after hung between them, a fleeting hope amid the starship's cold metal and the distant echoes of war. It was then Damon's turn to question. What about your people, Talon? You must have someone waiting. You're looking at my people, Talon responded, his eyes somber. Family too, I guess. Everyone else didn't make it. The weight of unspoken stories shadowed his features. Damon felt a pang of regret for his friend's losses. Let's make sure not to add our names to that list, eh? Their conversation was cut short as the duty officer called them to prepare. With a final nod, they parted ways, each stepping into the ranks of their respective units. Damon faced his group, 40 strong, their armor gleaming under the hangar lights, weapons held with disciplined ease. He was their leader, yet he felt the distance of command and the loneliness it carried. As he inspected the troops, a memory flickered, his former platoon, lost on the icy plains of Zarin V. The ghosts of their laughter, their courage, and ultimately, their sacrifice haunted him. Meanwhile, Talon was briefed by his intelligence escort. The upcoming mission would thrust them deep into enemy lines, a covert operation that could turn the tide of the war. But as plans were laid out, Talon's thoughts drifted to Damon. Their paths had crossed and recrossed through countless battles, each leaving scars that bound them as brothers not by blood, but by battles. The next day, as Damon geared up, a new suit of powered armor awaited him, a marvel of military engineering tailored to his physique and past injuries. It was more than metal and circuits, it was a promise of survival. As he donned the suit, the servos whirred to life, syncing with his neural impulses. A sense of invincibility washed over him, a feeling he welcomed yet distrusted. Talon, preparing in his quarters, checked his gear meticulously. His mission was classified, dangerous. Yet, he knew the risks were worth it if it meant a better universe awaited those who survived. Before leaving, he glanced at a photo tucked away in his locker, a reminder of why he fought. As both men headed to their respective briefings, the ship buzzed with the urgency of impending conflict. Damon joined his unit in the briefing room, where the holograms of battlefields and enemy positions flickered into existence. The weight of command settled on his shoulders as he outlined the strategy, his voice steady but his mind racing. Talon slipped into the shadows of the intelligence wing, where plans of sabotage and subterfuge were whispered like secrets. His role was clear, yet the unknown variables of deep space operations left no room for error. As the Sentinel's reach approached the enemy frontier, alarms blared. The ship shuddered under enemy fire, the first contact of what would be a long engagement. Damon and Talon, though miles apart within the ship, felt the same surge of adrenaline. This was it, the moment where training, technology, and tenacity would be tested. In the chaos of battle, as Damon led his troops through the fire and debris, and Talon infiltrated enemy lines with the silence of a ghost, the bond of their brotherhood, forged in the fires of countless battles, gave them strength. For in the heart of war, it was the memory of quieter times, of laughter shared in the face of danger, that often carried the greatest power. And as the stars watched silently, the war raged on, a testament to the courage of those who dare to dream of peace amid the echoes of endless conflict. As the Sentinel's reach plunged deeper into the fray, the ship's corridors echoed with the clamor of war, alarms wailing and orders shouted over the din. Damon, leading his troops through the thick of battle, felt the cold dread of leadership weigh upon him with each decision. The lives of his men and women, the fledgling soldiers under his command, hung on his every command, their fates intertwined with his experience and resolve. Each blast that rocked the starship sent shivers down his spine, not from fear of his own demise but from the terror of failing those who trusted him to lead them back alive. The faces of his unit, hidden behind visors and combat masks, mirrored his determination but also his fears. They moved as one, a unified force pushing against the unknown, their movements orchestrated by Damon's steady commands. Meanwhile, Talon navigated the shadowy underbelly of the enemy's stronghold. His mission, to sabotage their communications array, was critical, but fraught with peril. The corridors of the enemy base were a labyrinth of steel and shadows, every corner a potential ambush. His movements were silent, a ghostly presence among the enemy, yet his heart pounded loud against the quietude, each beat a reminder of the razor-thin line between success and catastrophe. Back on the Sentinel's reach, Damon's unit encountered stiff resistance. The enemy, a coalition of rogue states, had anticipated the coalition's strategies and laid traps and ambushes. The firefight was intense, blasts of energy and projectiles lighting up the corridor with deadly brilliance. Damon found himself in the thick of it, his powered armor absorbing hits that would have felled any normal soldier. Yet, with each enemy fallen, his resolve hardened. This was no mere skirmish, but a testament to his will to protect his team and see them through. As Damon commanded his troops, guiding them through the maelstrom of conflict, Talon reached his objective. The communications array, pulsing with the energy that connected the enemy's vast network, stood before him, guarded. With a mixture of stealth and precision, he dispatched the guards, his hands steady as he placed the charges. His mind, however, raced with thoughts of Damon and the others on the reach. Were they safe? Would his actions here make their mission any easier? With the charges set, Talon retreated, the countdown ticking silently in his ear. As he made his way back through the enemy's veins, the explosion that followed was not just a blast, but a beacon of hope. It signaled the start of a larger offensive, one that would break the enemy's will to fight. On the Sentinel's reach, the news of Talon's success reached Damon mid-battle, boosting the morale of his troops. With renewed vigor, they pushed forward, breaking through the enemy lines that had once seemed impregnable. Damon, at the forefront, led with a newfound strength, his tactics adapting with the flow of battle, each move bringing them closer to victory. As the conflict drew to its peak, Damon and his unit secured their sector, the enemy retreating in disarray. The cost was high, but the gain was higher, control of a critical junction that would turn the tides in the coalition's favor. Weary but undefeated, Damon's thoughts turned to Talon. Had his friend made it out? The bond of brotherhood, tested by war and separation, held firm in his heart. Meanwhile, Talon, having escaped the enemy base, rendezvoused with his extraction team. His body was weary, his gear stained with the marks of battle, but his spirit was unbroken. The mission was a success, a critical blow to the enemy's capabilities, and a step towards ending the war that had consumed so much of their lives. In the aftermath, as both men returned to the Sentinel's reach, their reunion was not one of words, but of shared glances and nods, a mutual recognition of their sacrifices and successes. They had both changed, shaped by the war and their roles within it, but their friendship remained steadfast, a constant in the chaos of galaxy-spanning conflict. Together, Damon and Talon watched as the stars shone brightly outside the starship's viewports, their light untouched by the wars fought in their shadows. They knew the road ahead was long, the fight far from over, but in that moment, they understood that their brotherhood, forged in battle and tempered in the fires of shared trials, would endure. It was this unspoken bond that would carry them through whatever challenges the future held, standing side by side, as brothers in arms beneath the infinite expanse of the cosmos. As the Sentinel's reach sailed through the starlit void, its next destination marked by strategic necessity, Damon and Talon found themselves together in the observation deck, the vastness of space stretching endlessly before them. Their armor, now discarded, gave way to the less imposing, but no less significant, standard-issue uniforms. The quiet of the deck was a stark contrast to the cacophony of battle, a rare sanctuary on the warship. "Remember Zarin V?" Talon asked, his voice low, as if the mention of that frozen planet might bring the chill of its winds into the warm cabin. Damon nodded, his eyes not leaving the starfield. "How could I forget? We lost good people there. It was a hell of a fight." "It was," Talon agreed, his eyes clouded with the memory. "But it taught us a lot. About war. About ourselves." "True enough." Damon turned to face his friend, his expression serious. "It taught me that no matter how chaotic things get, there's always a way through. You just have to find it." "That's why I knew you'd pull through today," Talon said with a slight smile. "You always find a way, Damon." Damon chuckled softly. "And you always make sure we're fighting for the right reasons, Talon. Your tactics on disabling their comms, it was more than sabotage. It was a statement." Talon looked out at the stars, contemplating. "Sometimes, I wonder if our statements are heard, if they resonate beyond the battles." "They do," Damon assured him, clapping a hand on his shoulder. "Every victory, every loss, it resonates. It shapes the future." Their conversation drifted to lighter topics after that, reminiscing about their academy days, the pranks they had pulled, and the dreams they had shared. It was a brief respite from the war, a moment to breathe and remember what they were fighting for, not just survival, but for a time when laughter could fill their days instead of gunfire. But the respite was short-lived. The war, as ever, was relentless. News came through the ship's communication channels, a new offensive was being planned, one that could potentially end the war but at great risk. The Sentinel's reach was to play a critical role, and every soldier, including Damon and Talon, would be needed at their best. As they prepared for the briefing, Talon's demeanor changed, the weight of command settling back onto his shoulders. "Whatever happens, Damon, we do this together. We see it through to the end, for everyone who can't be here with us." Damon nodded, his resolve firm. "Together," he echoed. "Until the end." The briefing room was filled with the hum of preparations. Maps and strategic data flickered on holographic displays, senior officers and strategists murmured in clusters. General Artek, the architect of the upcoming operation, entered the room, his presence commanding immediate attention. "Ladies and gentlemen," General Artek began, his voice carrying through the room, "we are on the precipice of history. The operation we launch tomorrow could very well dictate the future of this galaxy. Each of you has a role to play, each of you is crucial to our success." The plan was audacious, a multi-pronged assault on the enemy's stronghold, with feints and diversions to mask their true objective, the enemy's central command. It was a gambit, but one that could decisively turn the tide in favor of the Galactic Coalition. As the details of the plan were laid out, Damon and Talon exchanged glances. They knew their part would be among the most perilous, penetrating deep into enemy territory to secure critical intelligence that could cripple the enemy's response. It was a mission fitting for their skills and their bravery, a test of everything they had trained for. The room buzzed with the energy of impending action, plans being made, roles assigned. And through it all, Damon and Talon stood together, their bond a silent strength that bolstered not just each other, but those around them. They were more than soldiers, they were symbols of resilience and hope. As the meeting adjourned, the ship began its silent voyage towards the enemy lines, the stars silently watching as the Sentinel's reach carved its path through the darkness. Damon and Talon, ready for what might come, stood ready to face it head-on, knowing that whatever the outcome, their brotherhood, their courage, and their honor would remain unbroken, echoing through the cosmos as a testament to their unwavering resolve. In the deep void of space, amidst the dance of distant stars, they prepared not just for a battle, but for a chance to forge a peace that had eluded them for so long, fighting not just for victory, but for the promise of a return to those days of laughter and dreams.